Representing the family of Mark Adam Fontaine is ROSANNA Fontaine. Ms. Fontaine?
ROSANNA Fontaine. Good afternoon, Your Honor. When I spoke before this court for the first sentencing, it was very difficult. This time it is even more so. Our suffering continues daily. Every day when I first open my eyes, my first thought is of my dead son, Mark, and I relive the night of the fire. Every night before I close my eyes, my last thought is of my dead son, Mark, and I relive the night of the fire. Nothing can diminish the horror of that night, and until the day that I die, I will continue to relive it. My son, Mark, was healthy, vibrant, and full of life. Never in my wildest dreams did I ever think that when I kissed him goodbye on February 20th, 2003, that it would be the last time that I ever saw him. He was wrenched from our lives in the most imaginably horrendous way, and we were not even granted the comfort of seeing him in death to say goodbye, but had to have his wake with a closed coffin. We went through his wake in funeral in an almost dream state, going through the motions but hardly aware. We spent a week going from one wake and funeral to another, 4 in all, with Mark's being the last one. Willing it to be a nightmare that we would awaken from, or a mistake that would be corrected when Mark came home and walked through the front door. Even when confronted with irrefutable evidence, I kept my own fantasy going. In the soap operas, the impossible always happens. They even bring the dead back to life. Why couldn't that happen for us? Our daughter Melanie, who survived the fire with severe burns, moved back in with us so that I could help her with her healing. It was hard for her to give up her independence after having lived on her own. But in addition to needing help with her injuries, it was too difficult to go back to the apartment that she had shared with John Longeroux, her fiancé, who also died in the fire. There were just too many memories and reminders of what she had lost. We were happy to have her home with us. We needed each other's comfort. As Melanie's physical healing was complete, she began to spend more time with her friends again, and I was happy to see her becoming more sociable again. After all, she was only 25 and deserved to be happy again, but it was very difficult for me. It was as though I were having waking nightmares every time she would leave the home, in constant fear that she wouldn't return. Every phone call in the evening when she was out would send fear through my very heart, because it was Melanie's phone call on the night of the fire that alerted us to what was happening and took us to the site that night in search of our children. We're not the same people that we were before. We get up every day and carry on what appears to be a normal routine. We even laugh sometimes, but something is missing that cannot be replaced. Family gatherings are more somber occasions, and many try not to mention Mark's name for fear of causing us more grief. If they only knew how impossible that would be. Memories of Mark are all that we have now, and sharing them with others is our way of keeping him alive in people's hearts. The only good thing I can think of that has come from this tragedy is the new circle of friends that we have come to know and love. Unfortunately, What has brought us together is sharing in the same tragedy. But who better to understand our grief than those who have their own grief? Mark died very young, 22, before he could achieve the goals that he had set for himself, but not before he left his mark on the world. In closing, I would just like to say that I feel strongly that the value of my son's life and the lives of the other 99 will be diminished when this court imposes the lenient sentence it has recommended. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Fontaine. Mr. Fontaine, thank you very much. All right.